And what's really important is that when people approach us for information about where to go with their company, is that they get in quick and they start speaking to us before they even think that there might be an issue. When you're looking at your books and you see that your P&L is looking a little bit different than it did 6 months ago, and the overheads are becoming an issue, it's really important to just have that chat with us to see whether or not we think it might be time to make some sort of appointment so that they can turn their business around and have a prosperous future. I'm a senior manager for Liam Bailey's team, and I've worked with Liam in his team now for 2 years, but I've worked with Liam for 10 in this firm. Before that I was Chris Palmer's manager, and over the years I've worked with them both, though, on and off. They both bring very different professional approaches to insolvency, so it's been a real pleasure to work with Chris and then Liam to get a different experience. I came across when Liam, our managing partner, got me over from another firm that we'd actually both worked at before. Craig, our practice director, had already come across from the same firm, and I kind of couldn't wait to come across with Liam and Craig because they were such good friends. And I started in 2015 and have been here for 10 years and have been enjoying my time here ever since. It was a completely different firm when I first started. It was, I think, maybe 4 or 5 people on each team, and there was another partner who's subsequently left. But now we've got Ahmed and Daniel, as well as Chris and Liam, the 4 partners. The team we have now is great, and everybody gets along. We work well together, and I think that's important when we're dealing with aspects of humanity. It's important to come together as a team and be mindful of how much we have an impact on the community. People are coming to us when they have really serious problems in their life, and it's important that we come together and help them as best we can. But it's important to come across as caring individuals, and I think everybody on the team really has that quality about them, and so I'm proud to be on a team where everybody comes together like that. I started off in a career, a career as a bartender. The pub that I was working for got into some serious financial issues and went into liquidation. I met someone that I had a background in my university degree, that fit in insolvency, so they offered me a job. And I've never looked back ever since, working in insolvency from when I was a bartender and then I made the leap. So a lot of people find themselves in this profession in very interesting ways, because it's not the first thing that you think of when you're trying to choose a career. You think to yourself you want to become a tax agent or a lawyer or what have you, and insolvency is not the first thing that comes to mind. But when I'm talking to people about what they want to do as a career, I always mention that insolvency is something that they might find interesting, especially if they want to get into a career in accounting or in law, because it has so many different interesting aspects to it, and the job itself can be different from day to day, so you're never bored when you're working in insolvency. When I first started out in insolvency, there was a company that had gone into liquidation in the Central Coast, and there was about 15 to 20 employees that were out of a job all of a sudden. The government has this scheme called the Fair Entitlements Guarantee, where employees can make a claim on their unpaid wages or unpaid leave entitlements when their company goes bust. And a lot of the employees, when companies go into liquidation, obviously employees aren't always aware that scheme exists. I went out there the day that the company went into liquidation and spoke to these 20 guys that had no idea what was going on. And a lot of them had been working in this company for maybe 30 years, and they obviously aren't familiar with how any of this sort of situation works. And I was all alone, and I was a young guy explaining to them what was going to happen next for them. What really made me feel better about it all is that I was able to give them a little bit of comfort that there was light at the end of the tunnel, because when you've been working for a company for 30 years and you have entitlements that are suddenly unpaid, you want to know that there is a chance that they're going to be satisfied for you. And so these guys were at least a little bit comforted by the fact that I was giving them information that they otherwise would not have got if I hadn't have been there. So that made me feel like this was the right profession for me, I suppose. So now I'm Liam's senior manager. We work on mostly creditors' voluntary liquidations when our clients come to us and they have a client that's in trouble and wants to talk about what their company's options are. Their clients will come to Liam, and Liam and I will try to discuss with their accountant or lawyer about what the options are for their company. And we will always present the best possible option for them about where it is they need to go. We will even tell them whether or not insolvency is an option for them, or whether there is a way that they can work their way through it, work around the issues that they're facing, so that they don't need to face what a lot of people are really reluctant to go into, which is liquidation or administration or what have you. But we are seeing a lot of small business restructuring as well, where people are coming to us, their debts are under $1 million, and they're having issues in most of the time paying their ATO debt. And small business restructuring is a really great way for companies to restructure their debts and get out of the issues that they're facing by making an offer to their creditors to compromise their debts for a lesser amount. And this gives them an opportunity to work their way out of the slump that they've been facing and find light at the end of the tunnel. Recently I had an accountant friend of mine approach me and say that he had a client that was having trouble in his plumbing company. What had happened was that the director of this company had director penalty notices given to him by the ATO, such that he was now made liable for the company's debts for all of its unpaid GST. And so this fellow was facing the double challenge of dealing with the company's debt that he had also been made liable for, and so he didn't know what to do. I gave this fellow's accountant some information about what he could do, namely that it was probably best that he place his company into liquidation, but I was also able to provide him with some advice about his personal affairs and what his options were in terms of his personal insolvency situation. That gave him a lot of comfort that he was able to pass on that information to his client, so that there was some light at the end of the tunnel for him. So please get in touch with us at OBP if you're having any issues whatsoever, and we're always available for a chat. Obligation free, because we get a lot of pleasure out of being able to help people. And that's the wrong thing to say. I'm trying to think about... No, I've got something good there. I just want to think about it.
You should say how much I edit of Nathan's. Dig on.
Facets of knowledge to the table. No, I don't want to say that. That's stupid. Yeah, okay, that's great. Yeah.
Good job. This is really
trying to keep my head there. Is that okay?
It's perfect.